in the Bible somewhere. But descriptions of what they look like are not. The only ones that we have real descriptions of, like I said, are the seraphim, the cherubim, the archangels, and the angels. All the others is speculation. Quite honestly. It's really quite speculative. Okay? Personally, I find the study of angels extremely fascinating. I think I mentioned this before. Not to get too off track, but since we're already off track, might as well go whole hog. I just find the whole angelic realm just extraordinary. The fact that they are all around us right now. All around us. Both good angels and the fallen. And that they have such an influence. And you know, I mentioned this story once, I'll share it again. The scripture says, let's go back to the book of Hebrews. I love the book of Hebrews, if you haven't figured that out. It's not my favorite, but I love it. Hebrews chapter 13 says, "Let brotherly love continue. Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unaware." Did you catch that? Mm-hmm. The exhortation here is to always be hospitable, charitable to strangers, anybody, because sometimes you are entertaining angels without knowing it. I'll share you two stories, one from church history and one from my own experience that I think falls in this sense. There's a story of St. Francis of Assisi who was walking down a road and he saw a leper coming towards him. And when Francis, he was very disfigured. I mean, he was very, you know, he was dying. Leprosy was a terrible disease. I mean, it literally rotted your skin off of you. I mean, you were like the melting man. It's a horrible disease. Thank God we have antibiotics now to combat it. But back in the day, it was extremely communicable, and it was just disfiguring and destructive to the whole body. And so he saw this leper, and he was coming, and he was absolutely repulsed. He was like, "Oh, this is St. Francis." You know, all the saints just sort of walked on air, you know, and they just break. No. St. Francis was like, "Oh," and he showed this disgust towards this man. And he heard his feelings by his utter disgust. And so Francis, like in a flash, embraced him and begged his forgiveness for his disgust. And he embraced him, which was, you know, putting him at risk. And that was it. He didn't say anything, and he continued to walk his way, and he looked back, and the man was gone. Just gone. And St. Francis attributed that was an angel. And he said, well, why would an angel do that? To test your love. Test your love. That's exactly how he interpreted it. And this happens to many saints. Many saints have this experience where they realize that what they were experiencing was an angel and was sent by God to test their love, to test the depths of their love. And so that's from church history that comes to mind. And I've relayed this story in the past. I believe I might have experienced this myself. And if it did, it was when I reflect on it, it's quite wow. I wish I would have said, go back to God and say, please, get me into heaven. But I remember when I was in Biola, I was with some friends. We went to a McDonald's. And outside of the McDonald's, you know how homeless people kind of like sit outside and they'll beg for money or food or something like that? Well, this was and I don't know how better to describe, he was a very overweight man who was basically kind of sprawled out up against a corner there like when you were walking in, and he had like a cup, and he was just like, you know, spare change, you know, like that. And he was just plopped down there, okay? And we went in, we had our lunch, and then when we came out, he was still there. And so my friend said, well, I don't have any money, but I'll get you something to eat. And so he went back inside and got him a burger and fries, and I was talking with him, and I said, I didn't have any money. In fact, if I remember correctly, my friend bought me my meal. But I had like an extra cup of I think it was a strawberry shake. And I said, you're more than welcome to it. And so he took it. And my friend came out and gave him his meal. And we said, you know, God bless you, you know, and we left. We got into the car and left. And I'm telling you, we were pulling out and we were driving, and I looked back and there was no one there. And this is not someone who could have just leapt up and ran somewhere, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, did I miss something? I mean, there was no bag of food, there was nothing was there. And I was like, oh my, and the first thing that came to my mind was this an angel? And I go, well, all I hope is that he gives us a good report. That's all But my friends were surprised about this too. It's like, there's no way he could have gotten up and, you know, because I maybe gone to the bathroom or something, you know, and it was like, no, there's no way, no way. And I said, and we were all saying, was what this is talking about, you know? And I was like, oh my Lord, you know. And the reason I point that out is that, let's assume it was. Let's assume it was. The moral to the story is, in both cases, we think of angels as these nice, clean, you know, beautiful, bright lights and all this. Oh, I wish I could see any old halos and Christmas music all around them. And it's like, honey, I've got news for you. God sends us these angels in forms that we don't want, that we would be disgusted to see, like St. Francis. We go, ooh. Right? And what is that saying about us? What is that saying? What if they wasn't an angel? What is that saying about us? You know? Do you hear what I'm saying? That's the whole point. How can you love God whom you can't see if you don't love your brothers whom you do see? So it's actually a good way to end this part of our love story here in the Song of Solomon, to say that this is what we're talking about. This is how we share and show the love of God, by helping those least among us. Okay? The least among us. May we all have the love of God in our hearts, and listen to the promptings of the Spirit, that we may show his love and grace to everyone. So have a good week. Have a good Lent, and I'll see you next week, and we'll finish the Song of Solomon.